Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, your resource for all things business, brand, and leadership. We are excited you have decided to join us today.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Elevate Podcast. I'm Robert Kalin.
Mike Newman here with you.
I'm Bryan Reynolds.
Excited to be here, you guys. I love the topic title for today, Dream Again.
Yeah, it was a great topic. You know, Bryan wrapped up our last podcast by telling us we needed to dream again, and we thought, well, let's just talk about that. Mm-hmm. What's it look like for us to be able to dream again? And I think I'm the luxury of being a grandparent of two great little kids, and they just amaze me every time about their imagination, the wonder that they have in the world, and just the things that they create. Yeah. You know, my littlest one was standing on the foot thing that comes out of your recliner, mm-hmm. and he had a sword in his hand, and he wasn't saying the words right, but he was ready to charge the day.
That's awesome.
I love it.
That's awesome.
And I thought, hey, what's going on in his little mind, you know, that he's up there doing that, and what has he seen that has that? But he was ready to charge, you know, and so I thought, you know, as we're talking about dreaming again, it's like little kids have that, and somewhere as we grow up, we begin to lose that, or we're told it's not okay to do that, or someone puts some self-limiting beliefs on us that we begin to believe.
Yeah.
This is kind of making me go deep. I'm starting to go. My brain's going. Oh, I'm remembering things, and times, you know, teachers may have said something like this is a barrier. This is the boundary. You can't kind of break out of this area, or where friends or peers had, you know, said things that would discourage me from. Oh, like that's the worst idea I've ever heard.
Yeah,
you know, things like that. We've all been there. We've all heard these things. But you know, dreaming for me, I go back to my Lego days, and I remember Lincoln Logs.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite toys growing up, Lincoln Logs, and I would build really cool, elaborate cabins, and I would try to make them bigger, and ultimately like a cabin mansion, like a canchin. You know, just that's what I was dreaming for, and it perpetuated, honestly, this love for design and architecture. And I even, at one point in my high school career, I had my mom subscribe me to House Beautiful, a magazine, you know, where you could study architecture and whatnot. Mm-hmm. What's a bummer for me is I had a teacher that you know, just ended up killing the dream for me. And I ended up going in another direction. And no shade on him. I just think something along the line, my dream got crushed within design or wanting to become an architect. I really actually wanted to do that. And it just didn't make sense anymore. You know, so how do you dream again? What do you do when your dreams have been crushed? Do you cry yourself to sleep?
Right.
Do you bury your sorrows in a
Stuff your sorries in a sack, mister.
What's that?
I said, you stuff your sorries in a sack, mister.
I know. just keep them to myself.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you dream?
So I think it's, you know, part of what you said in our in between our conversations here has been, you've got to get away from what you're doing every single day to dream. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, some people, John Maxwell calls it a thinking chair that he has. Somewhere where you can get away from your desk and everything in front of you. It'd be nice to take a vacation somewhere, but maybe you don't have the resources to do that. But get away from the usual stuff to sit down and just think and look forward to what might be in your future. That's about dreaming.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think, you know, you're going to have to figure out for yourself what that looks like. Because everyone's creative process is a little bit different. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, for me, I like to walk. I like to be out in nature. I feel like some of the most inspired times I've ever had in my life have been out in God's country and just being alone. And, you know, again, it could be a thinking chair, it could be whatever, but either outside walking or doing a long drive. You know, I have to do stuff that's out like that because I get distracted by everything else so easily. If I'm home, I'm doing things. I'm just action-oriented person, always got something going on. So I have to like step completely away outside of my normal routines. And so
if we're going to give somebody some questions to ask themselves to dream again, what would you guys think that might be?
I love that question. Here's where I usually start. What's something that you haven't done in a long time that you love doing? And people go, yeah, I haven't picked up my guitar in a while, or that paintbrush, or the, name the thing. I haven't done this in a while. And part of, I think, dreaming too is getting to a place where you're not just constantly doing in a business. Like you said, Robert, for me, I remember having an apron on, being behind the bar, making coffee day in, day out, 6 a.m., 10 p.m., 6 a.m., 10 p.m., the grind.
Yep.
And then there was a point of reinvention as I kind of moved away from being a barista to kind of figure out what was next. And I had to dream about what my role would look like next. The apron came off, hung it up for the last time, almost kind of like ceremonially. And the team blessed me to kind of go, okay, B, go get some fresh vision, go dream a little about where you want to take this thing. And I remember, I started dreaming just by going to the library next to Anthem in downtown Puyallup. If you know, you know. And I would just grab books and I would start to grow myself, and that would kind of spur on the curiosity about, well, what else could I do? What else could we do? But my favorite moment was, I remember I'm going to go on a long drive, and I ended up driving straight to Suncadia. And I just sat.
Just by accident.
No,
happened.
Because they have great golf there. Yeah. No, but I thought I'm gonna go for a drive, and I just kept driving, and I got to Suncadia, and I sat in their hotel lobby as if I had checked in the night before or something. I sat there for 5-6 hours, and I dreamt about my future, and it was so fun. I'm looking at the beautiful scenery. They got a little coffee shop there.
Yeah,
it's comfortable. Nobody knows me, and it was just a time to kind of be with my thoughts, thinking time. So go on a journey, go adventure, disrupt your life. That's, I think, a great piece of advice as far as how you're going to go dream again.
Yeah. Well, I think something else you said was inferred was you went to the library and you started consuming content to grow yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just need someone else to inspire us.
True. Oh, good.
Right. We can hear a fresh perspective, and it will trigger something else in our mind and just inspire us. That could be through a song, it could be through a movie, it could be through a book, various things. But allowing things to go into our mind that are different perspective.
Yeah.
Right. So oftentimes we hear the same voice over and over again, and we begin to tune it out. And you've probably seen this happen with your kids, that you'll tell them, you should do this and this and this, and they don't do anything, and then somebody else comes in and goes, you should do this, and off they go, and they're doing it, and what, do they don't listen to me? But the answer is, it's a new voice.
Yeah.
It's a new perspective, even though it may be the similar idea. And I think that for me, too often is that I hear my own voice all the time, instead of being quiet and listening, and I work harder at finding time to get away, to get refreshed and get new ideas, to dream about opportunities that are there. But if I'm just all the time going, well, that's another big, thing that I messed up on, or I need to do that better, or whatever the things are that take the air out of your dream. It's your own teacher that crushes your dream. Yeah. It's yourself that crushes your dream that sometimes. And so being able to write it down somewhere, or like Bryan's idea or experience of going somewhere where nobody knows you, gives you some freedom just to dream. Or in your case, Robert, walking around in nature, but finding, I think it's really important to find where it is that you can be quiet and honest with yourself and really project into the future about what you were created to do.
Well said. Good. Oh, I love that. Which that forces someone to kind of rediscover who they are, how they're wired.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that we need to do a better job of as individuals, just being self-aware and knowing that as seasons change, as we grow in life, doing a little check on where we're at. How are we doing? Do we like where we're heading?
Right.
And if you don't, you go, I don't like where I'm heading in life. You dream.
That's good.
And how can I change it?
Yeah.
You know, we've got the Elevate conference coming up in September. And
gonna be so
one of the speakers, Valerie Burton, she says this thing that I heard her say this probably 3 or 4 years ago that has stuck with me almost every single day since, is what does success look like in this season of your life?
Yeah.
And
So good.
and defining that for the season you're in versus I need to have all of these things. So sometimes it's just starting where you are right now and saying, what does success look like, especially if you're struggling?
Yeah. That's good. What does success look like for you in this season? In the season of your life that you're in right now, what does success look like? You can pause this episode right now and just dream a little bit. Come back to it.
I really think you should.
Yeah.
Hit pause and, okay, now that you're back.
Welcome back, everybody.
You had a good dream session. It's really important to create moments like that in your life. Interrupt your own life to do that, to check on what's going on.
We get so stuck in the motions and the rhythms that we forget to dream again, you know, and we don't even realize we're not dreaming. You know, maybe it's an old dream. Maybe it's not for this season that we're in. And to evaluate yourself, like you were saying, you know, am I headed where I want to go? Am I designing my preferred future right now?
We have to be honest with ourselves, don't we? I'm thinking back to so many times when people, hey, how you doing? The response, living the dream, right? Which, if we were really honest, are we living the dream? Are we? And if not, why not? And what would the dream look like? This thought came to me just a moment ago, and you know, we might be afraid to dream because we start to dream and then we start to write something down, but we go, I'll never get there. I'll never do that. When you dream, you have to dream without borders. And you have to stop your own internal voice first and really let yourself just go.
Yeah.
We were cleaning our office recently. I came across probably 15 journals that had dreams and ideas and thoughts from the past, and I wrote them down, and it was good that I did, because some of them have rooted and then sprouted and taken life, and others of them, you know, were written down maybe 10, 12 years ago, and it revitalized something in me as I read it. It kind of brought to life, whoa, that might be it. Now I'm in a season of life where what I wrote back then, I could actually take and apply, or try to write a book or an ebook around, or just build something, you know, whatever, right? So that's where dreaming kicks in. Uninhibited, no boundaries, dream. And then put it in the greenhouse. We got a little plant over here that I'm thinking of, greenhouse. But ideas, they should go in a greenhouse. Ideas, they should be incubated sometimes. Dreams, ideas, all that stuff. Write them down. Doesn't mean you have to actually do that thing or accomplish it tomorrow or in 5 months from now, but just dream freely.
Yeah, that's good.
You know,
go ahead.
Well, when you're saying that just kicked in a story that's a real story. So my wife and I, back when we were young, like you guys are, we needed another house because our house was too small. And in the Sunday paper, they used to have these homes of the week. You probably had those, right? You cut those out and made a notebook out of them. But we would have those, and we came across this one that we just said, wow, if we could someday afford that, let's do that. And so we just cut it out and put it on the refrigerator. And it wasn't anything intentional, you know, it was really, you know, just something there. And, you know, to fast forward this story, I've lived in that house now for 30 years.
Come on.
Yeah, I've lived in that house for 30 years.
You realized the dream.
We realized the dream. We didn't even know it, you know, or we'd given up with a realtor and everything else. They could never find anything for us. And then one day we're going to an open house because we like to do those after church on Sunday. And we would go to this open house, and the realtor we happened to have, she was there. She goes, "Oh, I've been waiting for you guys." And
wow.
And you think, well, right. And she goes, "No, really, I found this place up in Edgewood, and I think it'd be perfect for your family and you. And here's the house." And I went, man, that's the house. And it's not
the
built.
The same one you had cut out.
It's not built yet, but the same one I'd cut out.
That's amazing.
And,
that's so cool.
You know, and so So we prayed about it a long time and I don't know how many years it was on our refrigerator. Was it there for probably at least 2 years?
Yeah.
And like I said, now we live in that house. So.
I want to point out, if you haven't realized a dream, maybe you've got a dream already and a vision and you haven't realized it yet. It doesn't mean you're not a failure. It doesn't mean you are a failure, right? Yeah. Dreams can take time. Dreams can take a lifetime to accomplish.
So true.
And anything that is going to be of great significance is going to take a long time to get there. Don't beat yourself up with not being there yet. Take the next step to get there, and be purposeful in it. I love this conversation around dreaming. It's one of my personal favorite things to do. I mean, if I lived in dreamland all the time, it would be great.
I know. My wife has to constantly pull me down.
Right?
Bryan, I need you to actually be here right now.
Yeah.
Stop dreaming. Come down.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Come back
He's
to
floating
Earth.
away again.
That's great.
It's good.
Do you guys know of any resources that would be good for people listening to this about dreaming again?
So there's a book that John Maxwell has called Put Your Dreams to the Test.
Yep.
And so it kind of walks you through 10 questions that I think are really beneficial. I know when I was stuck, that was one of the things that I came to and really, talks about the one part about who owns your dream. Mm-hmm. Do you own your dream? And ask some really good questions. It would be a good way for people to work through. That would be one resource.
That's great.
The only book that comes to mind, I'm like, did I recommend this on the last podcast? I can't remember. But it's called Leading on Empty. It's really tough to dream when you're empty, when you're struggling, when you're stuck in a rut, right? So that's written by a pastor named Wayne Cordero in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And he talks through his burnout struggle and how he was able to dream again and reinvent himself and get back to a place of health and boundaries and dreaming. So love that book. He's
also got a really good book on teams. I can't remember the name of it right now, but yeah, check out Wayne Cordero. I don't have a resource necessarily, but I want to say, maybe you are struggling with your dream because you don't know where you're gifted. And so just go serve some people.
Brilliant.
That's it.
Serve.
That's the resource. Just go out there and serve.
How can I help? Hey, do you guys need help? Do you need help? You start doing that. You plug in. You start to realize, oh my gosh, I love doing X, Y, Z, whatever it might be.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Good. Love that, Robert.
So that's what I got.
I think that's what we got, guys.
All right.
That's a good podcast episode.
This is awesome. I love just hanging with you guys. So love hanging with you too. Feel free to always comment, message us. We we look at each one of those and it informs the next podcast. So engage with us, guys. We're looking forward to connecting with you real soon, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for joining us today on the Elevate Podcast, your resource for all things business, brand, and leadership. For a deeper dive into the content and to get access to resources like our free show notes, go to countercultureleaders.com/podcast and sign up for our newsletter. Hey, don't forget to like, rate, and review and subscribe, and share this content with your friends and colleagues. This is Mike Newman. Looking forward to seeing you next week.